Long Bangers in association with Leith Spirits and Rare Find Whiskey. I'm Matty.
Hello, I'm Colin.
Good evening, I'm John.
And you'll notice a wee difference to the introduction there. It's because we mentioned the Rare Find Whiskey. And why we talk about that is because we've got a wee competition going on with our partners at Leith Spirits who do the Rare Find Whiskey brand. They are doing a special 16-year-old blended Scotch celebrating the contribution of Paul Hanlon and Lewis Stevenson to the club. They've got a launch there with an event at Gaucho, Edinburgh on the 6th of February. If anybody's interested in going, we'll post a wee link up either in the comments on YouTube or we'll probably put it on Twitter, it's a bit easier. But if you buy a bottle of that or buy a ticket to the event at Gaucho, you'll also get entered into a competition to win hospitality, Tornadoes Hospitality, Easter Road, with John and I. Colin, you were going to go away, but you had to. You're otherwise engaged and unable to make it. Pioneers, did I say Tornadoes again?
I know, and that's the thing.
I did this last time too. Pioneers is the better Ian.
Maybe I said no because I thought it was Tornadoes. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what happened.
Maybe. But you'll find the competition on our Twitter. It's on our Facebook, etc. as well, on our Instagram as well. If you don't follow us already on Instagram, it is there too. Anyway, right, enough of the spiel. Colin, how are you doing?
I'm good. I am all right. Back to work tomorrow. Quick weekend, usual.
And John?
Fine, yeah, good Sunday. Better Saturday.
It was a good Saturday. I was thinking last night, things have been good for a wee while, right? And you didn't want to sort of take it for granted, but it's important to enjoy the good times, isn't it? Like, I kind of was late getting to bed. I talked about this on one of the phone-ins one time. Like, I struggle to sleep when Hibs have either been really good or really bad because I want to be talking about it or like reading what folk are saying or like all the rest of it. So I was up on Hibsnet till God knows what time, sort of like trawling the threads about it and then on Twitter and it's just
boy,
good.
like you've even inflicted this podcast on folk so that you could vent it, and then yet you still haven't solved your problem.
I know, but I don't care. Like that's it. This is what we're here for. As other folk are the same, eh? They want to talk about it as well and hear about it. I used to love it when we were a game and you go and find Hibs content, kind of like the BBC podcast or something. You'd stick that on and be like what are they saying about it? So anyway, right, we'll get stuck into it because it was a good win. Kenny's already said hi, happy Hibees, and we're happy. Hi, Kenny. So what are we wanting? We are wanting the team up. So just by the way, before we put the team up, I want to give a wee shout out to Joe because Joe absolutely nailed the team. He got it absolutely spot on. O'Hora and Levitt, and those were the sort of the headlines, right? So let me just run through it. Right, we've got Smith in goals, O'Hora, Levitt, Boyle, Chris Cadden, Ardale, Nicky Cadden, Triantis, Campbell, Rocky and Gale. So we weren't miles off our team, but Joe got it spot on. John, when you saw the team, what were your thoughts?
Levitt, question mark, was my honest question about it. And I think because in my predicted lineup, I forget who it was that I had in midfield. Oh, I had Mariah Welsh, and David Grays went, "No, I want a ball player in there," and that's why David Gray's Hibs manager and I'm a Hibs podcaster.
Fair play, Colin. What were you? What were your views on the lineup when you saw it?
I thought. So I think we spoke about it on Friday. We all pretty much picked that team, other than Levitt. I don't think I never had him in, but I did say I could see why. I was between him and Mariah Welsh. We're actually the conversation. It was almost like, well, one of them was going to play. You would have expected because I think Cohen's out the picture a bit. So one of them was going to play, and I suppose Grays went for as John said, somebody that can maybe pick a pass or more. I'm not saying Mariah Welsh can't. Like a different. He brings something different to Mariah Welsh. He's appears to be a hard worker, runs a bit a lot, and puts the tackles in. Whereas we needed somebody that can maybe break the lines. There you go. There's a wee bit of football terminology for
getting technical now, eh? Look at you.
I don't care what it means. I've just heard folks saying it.
Aye.
I've just heard folks saying it.
I was all right with the team when I saw it. Like you said, it wasn't a million miles off of what we picked. And
it's still, he trusts about 14, 15 players, eh? So it's pretty easy to pick a backbone 8, 9, 10 players now.
Do you know what you notice with Guerrero is he's used to the subs. So folk like Mariah Welsh, who hadn't featured for a wee while, but he was confident enough to bring him in, like against Rangers, and he came on again yesterday. Quan obviously came on. Hoylett's no played for a wee while, and he was quite happy to bring him in as well. I think Gray's used the squad quite well over the last period. Vince has just said, "Can you get Colin to do the old Rocky Bashiri chant to celebrate Rocky's flawless performance?"
I'll never sing, but he did have a good game. I'll give you that, Vince. He did. No mistakes yesterday. By the way, I've just watched Sports Scene right back. I hadn't clocked it. Did you see him piling through when Boyle was going through in the last 5 minutes?
We were screaming for the pass.
Oh, that would have
I'm
been
up
class.
that end,
Square it,
like,
square it.
square it.
I didn't realise it at the game. I was at the other end, like at the west, and I seen obviously Boyle getting hacked down, but I didn't see Bashiri making the 80-yard sprint down the middle.
It was a lung buster. I think he managed to keep himself onside as well. That's probably just because he's not as fast as Boyle. But we were hoping the ball was going to get to him. I would have loved to have seen what would have happened in that moment. And I have every faith that Rocky would just pinged it straight in the top corner. First timer as well, just fucking skill.
I was just having a conversation with my daughter, and she was like, it would just be a total tape on when the goalie jumping out the road. That would be, and hope it stays down low enough. It's just getting rattled as hard as it can.
Because all the pressure's off. You're 3-1 up already. It's like the last kick of the ball, pretty much. So I reckon Rocky would have been one of the goals of the season. But we were denied it with a fucking dirty bastard.
Cynical
as well. It was cynical. But we'll come into that. Sandy's asked, tell me incoming is Xander Clark. Great result yesterday. Magic number for Sir David Gray's 3 since a certain third goal he scored once. And Kenny said, strongly linked with yet another centre half from Plymouth. I'll call him Julio because his second name is about 20 letters long. So we'll come on to, before the podcast is up, we'll come on to a couple of the transfer rumours because we're linked with him and I think a winger as well from, I want to say Portsmouth. But my memory's no great. I will have to look up before we start talking about it for both of them just to get their names right. Anyway, right, so let's talk about the game itself. Overriding thoughts on the game, Colin, what did you take away from it?
It was a comfortable win. Played well at times, like really nice bits of passages of play in that, I thought. Didn't goalie, well, I was going to say didn't have a save. He had a save to make, one save. Other than that, he wasn't troubled. Like all the defensively, they were solid. I didn't think when we went back to 2-1 that we were in any real danger, but obviously we went up and got the third goal quite quickly anyway. I didn't think Motherwell were in the game. I thought we were a pretty poor side, and I thought we were much better than them.
John? See, when you said there, Colin, that he had a save to make, was that a wee bit foreshadowing of some criticism later on?
Oh, well, I just think he should have saved the free kick. As simple as that. But I think it was interesting, Kettlewell said after the game, my goalie didn't even have a save to make. I thought, no, he definitely fucking did. Like, we scored 3 goals. Like, he definitely had at least 3 saves to make.
Aye, just because he didn't make them didn't mean he never had them to make. Aye. John, what did you take away for the game?
It's strange, I think, given the season that we've had and the seasons before that we've had, where we've mucked about down the lower end of the league, where we wouldn't want to be, to come away and not really have much in the way of criticisms or concerns, like just feeling that it was a comfortable routine victory. And one of the things that he talked about at the start of the episode was like coming in to talk about this, and I can't remember exactly what it was that he said, but it was almost like not getting too carried away. The question I wanted to ask was like, how do we keep ourselves grounded at this point? Because I think, is it 1 defeat in 10 games, unbeaten in 9, I think it is.
Yeah, it will be.
Total contrast to the start of the season, where I said that it looked like we were relegation candidates because of some of the bad luck that was coming our way. So good victory, 3 good goals. One was a really impressive goal. Triantis, I thought that was. I'm not going to call it spectacular because I think spectacular is reserved for the 25-yarder at the top corner, but it was. Would you call it a commanding goal? Like a really dominant.
I wouldn't have called it that, but I can see why you would.
Just just dominant in taking possession, striding forward, and stroking into the far corner. Just a really, really good goal from a player who's having a really good bit of form at the moment.
Ronnie Farmer says, Matty, do you mean Julio Pleguezuelo for Plymouth Argyle? Yes, that is who I
Spell
mean.
out for you.
It's written down, yep.
Oh.
I think it's creepy anything. I often joke it's a bit like Ron Burgundy and Anchorman, isn't it? Like anything that's on the auto cue he reads. If it could have stuck anything down there and I would have read it out. It would have given it a bash anyway. Like
that may be offensive as fuck what you've just said.
So, John, we'll come on to talk about the goals in a wee bit. Just talk about the opening of the game first of all, because I thought it was like a really, I would describe it as like a competent performance. But I think that's like the level of the team now is like this sort of level of competence that we look like. We really know what we're doing, which sounds like an obvious thing to say when a team's doing well, but it's like everybody in the team knows what their job is. Like they're well coached. Remember that question came up a while back: are we the worst coached team in the league? And I think just now we look like a team that is well coached.
See, on that, just to interrupt you, I just watched Sports, like I said, and I know most folk probably have, but that's kind of what they were getting at in the analysis after Neil McCann and Ryan Graham it was Neil McCann that was talking about how the two Levitt and Triantis were keeping the line, but if one of them was going forward, the second half filling in, stepping up, and Campbell was coming back and all that, and they were saying that's obviously training ground stuff and all of that. So I think that probably just adds weight to what you're saying. Maybe the coaching's eventually worked.
Aye. So the first 20 odd minutes, right, there wasn't loads happening in terms of goalmouth action, but I thought it was like a pretty commanding performance still. We were never really in any danger. I don't think we created that much while still looking the likeliest to score. There's a thread about it on Hibs.net and somebody called it dire. And I was like, I didn't think it was dire that first 20 minutes. It was a bit dull, but I thought we looked all right. Where do you stand on it, John? Do you think that first 20 minutes was it too dull, or was it just like two teams sort of feeling their way into the game?
I think that's maybe a possibility that it's two teams feeling their way into the game. But when I reflect on the performance as a whole, I probably don't reflect on it as a whole. Like, because I come away thinking, right, we've won 3-1. Like, is there really much to pick apart from that? Yeah.
What are you doing on here? What the fuck are you doing?
I know, like, but I know it's a wee bit simplistic, but like I've referenced like Hibs Ross County a couple of years ago where Jake Doyle Hayes scored his double, and I was buzzing afterwards. Like I didn't care about like the other 88 minutes of the game because we'd won. Like, and I know that there's bigger questions sometimes to be asked about performances and improvements or whatever. But by and large, at my core, I am a Hibs supporter, and that like as always Hibs win, I can come away feeling happy. In fact, I can even, and it's a weird thing to try and describe, but like see a shot that you hit for like 25 yards and it comes off the inside of the post, you've got the oohs and the ahs. That can almost sometimes be just as good as the goal that comes in. Sorry, the one that goes in.
Mm-hmm. It looks more spectacular sometimes.
Aye. Like, or if you actually score the goal and you think it's gone in the top corner, and actually the instant replay takes the edge off it a wee bit. So no, like to go back to the original question, like the first 20 minutes might have been dire. However, the game as they won and lost in those first 20 minutes, unless you go down like 5-0 or whatever. And actually over the 90 minutes, we won 3-1. So
yeah.
I
wasn't looking for a negative. It's just that I didn't think it was dire, but it was because I saw that post. I thought I would ask you about it just to kind of get a.
I don't remember much about it. If I try and answer it, I can't remember much about the first 20 minutes because there was nothing really happened. I wouldn't say it was. I wasn't sitting moaning about it. It was not like the Ross County game, like the first half of that Ross County game, a month ago. That was shite, and we got the goal at the end of the half, which kind of calmed everybody down a bit. But other than that, it was shit. But yesterday, I can't really remember much about the first 20 minutes.
There's other games like I'm trying to think. Start of the season where we were doing like 2-0 in the first 5 minutes against Celtic, for example, like that was dire.
Aye. Or Rangers last week.
Or Rangers last week. I mean I think that's is that the balance that you're trying to strike between the description of something as being dire or not?
Aye, dire's harsh.
Aye. I think probably the only really notable thing for that first period was the knock that Chris Cadden took. So there's a bit of chat in a couple of the groups that were
getting mixed up. it was the other one. I know
Nicky
the same.
Cannon, sorry.
I know they
Where he
look alike.
where he got his nose broken. They don't look so alike now anyway. I mean, it's a real easy differentiator. One's got a straight nose and the other one's got one at a right angle. There's a bit of chatting in one of the group chats about whether or not we should have a penalty for it. I never felt at the time that it was a penalty. Colin, do you think we had a shout for it?
I didn't. I've seen a still of it, and my brother-in-law was watching on TV yesterday, and he was at me saying it was because he thought the boy was sort of throwing the elbow a wee bit. But I was down that end, and I thought, I just thought they bumped into each other a wee bit. The guy got above him, and I actually didn't think there was much in it. And I thought, what's he staying down for? Then I saw Boyle shouting at the bench to get a shirt on. I thought he must have burst his nose.
Aye.
And then he went off, and I thought, I wonder if that's a concussion sub. Not realising his fucking nose was pointing in the opposite direction. I didn't think there was much in it. Just that was an accidental sort of clash.
Yeah, any advance on that for you, John?
No, what I'd say is at first glance that I didn't think there was much in it. I just thought it was a bit of an accidental collision. However, when it went to VR, I thought to myself, "Oh, I wonder if we might get a sneaky penalty here." But that was
Was it VR? I wish I can't mind, man. You never know if it's going to be VR in that. That's one thing that frustrates the fuck out of me.
Aye, they're a bit sort of inconsistent with sort of
you don't
the
know
messages up on the screens in the stadium. Normally you get like the checking possible penalty.
Aye, it's so quick sometimes that you think, have they even been and checked that? Like,
I suppose they check everything. Like, really, aren't they?
Well,
they're doing it like on the fly. Like they're always watching the game. But
that's where some of the mistrust comes from, though, because when you're at the game, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you don't know if they're checking it because nobody tells you, and sometimes it's that quick. You go, are they even checking that? And nobody say, and that's how folk then go, let's fucking play VR, but they didn't even check that Nicky Carden penalty shout. You just assume, or I assume that they're checking it. But
aye, I thought they would have checked at the time. So Nicky Carden couldn't continue. He went off. Obita came on. Obita plays a big part in the opening goal, as does our good friend Andy Halliday as well. Remember him? He sort of sclaffed his clearance. It went straight to us. The ball goes out wide to Obita. He takes a sort of cross come shot, and there's Boyle at the back post to tap it in. Colin, goal came at a good time.
I thought it was offside at the time. Like I didn't even really celebrate it because I thought the VAR was going to jump off. I thought it was a good. It took it. I get the shot. I think for Obita or the cross, whatever it was, looked like it took a touch off one of the defenders, and then but Boyle invented well to sneak in at the back post. The defender just totally switched off and didn't go in. Follow him in, but nice wee tapping. How early was it in the game? Was it like 10 minutes or something?
It wasn't long after Nicky Carden went off. Like Obita had been on the pitch for a wee bit, but I think it was before the half hour had gone, if I remember right. But
27. About 25 minutes.
And then almost immediately, John would go 2-0 up with a goal for Triantis. Now you called it a commanding goal.
Well, I've probably used the wrong adjective there, but I think you saw it. Well, you said that you saw what I was meaning by it. So the ball's been played out, and if you remember, I think it was the Aberdeen game where he strode forward with an interception and he's played in Martin Boyle. This time he strode forward, made the interception, and just burst forward and kept going. And like I say, like stroked into the far corner. It wasn't an easy finish, but he's obviously confident enough to one, take the gamble on the player not getting control of the ball, and then two, with the finish as well, not thinking about squaring it or anything. Just a beautiful goal, to be perfectly honest.
And Colin Triantis, I think, had a terrific game anyway. He was playing like a player full of confidence, but the awareness that he showed to sort of latch onto that ball was brilliant. But was that the sort of thing you expect to see for Triantis, Colin?
Aye, absolutely. That's what for sitting midfielder like that. Yeah, the anticipation. I think if you watch it, the goalie kicks it out to the guy, and I think Boyle's going flat out towards him, and I think he thought, I can't take a touch facing my own goal. I'll let it run past me. But Triantis clocked it straight away, and the laddie run past him far too much. Like he got hooked at half time as well, didn't he? And he was the one that switched off at the back post, as well. But he's only a young guy. It's the guy off down the slope, Ewan Wilson, that does it down the slope. But he so Triantis, but the anticipation to get on it, and then he just ran into acres of space. I actually thought the goalie should have done better with it, but it was a really good finish into the corner. I'm not trying to take that away from Triantis. But I thought if it was your goalie, I'd be gone fucking dead. But it was a really good bit of play for Triantis, and I didn't notice this at the time, but again, I've just watched it back in the last half hour. Halliday clocks the danger, right, and he's sprinting flat out, and then he just stops. And that makes Triantis' mind up. It might have squared it if Halliday had actually continued with what appeared to be a good defensive run for a midfielder tracking. And then he just sort of went, I'm not running any fucking further. And Triantis went, I'll just put in the bum corner then.
It was mental. It was like the batteries running in the controller. Somebody's like steering them back towards the goal.
Really strange.
And he just fucking stopped dead.
But I mean, no try to take any away from Triantis. I'm just pointing out some of the what I thought were mistakes for them. But really, really good bit of football for him.
And it was quite a devastating wee period. Obviously, we get the 2 goals, which puts us in a commanding position in the game. We almost get a third right after it. John's Triantis again at the back post. The ball breaks them, but he just can't quite sort of tuck it in. The keeper, I don't know if the keeper makes a block or if Triantis just sort of slices it as he gets to it. But
is that the one where he's under challenge and it ends up going like high over the top right hand crossbar?
I think at this point in the game, it looked like we probably could have hit any score we wanted.
Aye, it's just that, again, like that reflection of like where we are compared to where we've been. I think where we've had, say, 1 goal, you're looking for a second, you're looking not to make a mistake where we've conceded. And actually what we've done is we've gone and got the second, and we've done it at that sort of like traditional, let's get another goal before half time. Like let's finish the first half strong, come out, settle ourselves at half time, come out, go again in the second half. And it is just really, really refreshing to see, and whatever the conversation that the team had, in the player meeting in the aftermath of the Dundee game, when we just seem to be going from strength to strength since then. And actually, I was reading an article in the Observer earlier this afternoon. There was a bit of chat of an informal coffee club. Nicky Cadden's meeting up with Dwight Gale. They're talking about the sort of balls that Nicky Cadden should be delivering. And I actually got a wee bit of education from it, something I'd never really considered before. Like Nicky Cadden was talking about, like if you've got Kaharovic in the box, you'll be putting high balls in. It's very, very simple, like just something I hadn't really considered before. But it was, again, like reflecting on it, you see the result of that in the derby, where it was a low cross into feet rather than what we've seen for years, probably just aimless high balls to like shorter strikers up front. So that was refreshing.
Then we get in at half time, 2-0, really comfortable. Like I say, keepers, don't even know if Smith touched the ball in the first thing, maybe like the 40th minute or something, they got a touch. I watched, I think if anybody can, the YouTuber Gogsy, he's the Motherwell fan, a good lad, Gogsy. He was talking about it on his wee vlog last night, and I think he mentioned it was maybe like 43rd minute or something before the Hibs keeper touches the ball, which is no bad going for us. And I think that showed how much in control we were in that first half. We were so comfortable. Second half, Colin, we nearly got off to a great start. Josh Campbell has the ball in the net. Pretty clearly offside this one, though, eh?
Aye, it was a nice bit of play, but Abita should have probably just scored it. Just take take that. Oh, Campbell's clearly offside. I hope he's not trying to find the pass well, and it's just a poor attempt to tether, because that should be a goal. It was a good bit of play though, but Campbell's a mile off. Can't argue with that.
I didn't even get off my seat for that one. I could see how far offside he was.
You're right in line with that.
I said to Josh Spock, I'm over there. He's offside. No goal. John, but that's then for another good bit of work for Triantis. So Triantis sort of wins the ball in the middle of the park, takes a wee touch, feeds the ball out wide. Triantis seemed to be popping up everywhere yesterday. He's a player, John, that certainly I questioned the sense in bringing him back to the club, having failed to really make an impact last season. We're seeing the best of Triantis at the moment, would you say?
He definitely made an impact on 3 different players at Ibrox.
He did. That's true.
But we definitely had the conversation about some of the players that we brought back. Like we talked about Nicky Cadden recently, and it was, it seemed convenient that his brother already played at the football club. It was almost like a wee bit, not quite jobs for the boys, but getting in folk that you know.
Mhm.
and then bringing Triantis back as well. But I think Triantis' first game for Hibs was in defence, and then as you took him out of defence, because it seemed, well, or people describe him as never being a central defender. There's like in the first game back after re-signing for Hibs this season against Kilmarnock, and he was going on like his wee mazy runs, and there was some nice passes that was playing. He's had his wee stroll forward where I think he's put one over the crossbar narrowly. And he seems to be like, there's obviously in between where we are now and when he signed for the club, there's been like a bit of a dip for the entire football club, which is I think has
Mhm.
brought everyone down. But I think his performances are probably potentially reflective of the overall improvement within the squad, which is obviously backed up by the results that we're having. And it's really refreshing to see. Like I think I have and probably always will champion the underdog. Like I love an underdog story. Jair being a great example, like when he had the redemption arc and obviously not even good enough to make the bench yesterday. Someone say it. Someone say
Wouldn't he be allowed to?
it.
There
There
we
we
go.
go. um, aye. So the fact that he's getting performances, but we're also getting performances out of other players who have been written off. Like so, there's Levitt came back in. Like I questioned him, and I think you talked about it at the start of the episode, Matty, where Gray, Colin, you mentioned like 14, 15 players. Matty, you mentioned like some of the players that are slotting in. Like I think you're now starting to see like although it was maybe like a bit of a jumble to begin with, and you've had players almost like shoehorned in. It's been kind of like putting a squad together. Let's get the guy back in that we had on loan for Swansea. Let's get Triantis back in because we know him. Let's get Nicky Cadden in. Throughout all of that chaos, and actually there was a similar article in the Observer where it talked about chaotic energy. Throughout that, there's been something that's kind of molded within the Hibs side, and it's great. It's great to see. Like and to be honest, like long may it continue. Like I know that there's always going to be questions about improvements, etc. And that's absolutely fine. But while we have this sort of like ragtag bunch of misfits that have somehow found some sort of cohesion together, I'm all for it.
Fair play. Right, while we're talking about the midfield, I'll pick up a couple of the talking points from the YouTube comments. And if you do have anything to say on the show, just chuck something in the comments. We'll pick up as many as we can. Ronnie said Dylan Levitt didn't look very happy in his post-match interview. Hope the knock he got isn't too bad. What do you think of Levitt's performance yesterday, Colin? There's been a lot of clamour to get him back in the team for some people, especially or Joe. Um, how would you assess his performance yesterday?
I thought he was good. Neat and tidy on the ball. Kept it moving and that. I thought he was good. It wasn't in the 10, obviously, which is where a lot of the clamour's been for. But I thought where he was playing, he done well. I think it was cramp he went off with rather than a knock. By the looks of it, like it looked like, or his calves went one of the because it was like proper. But he was doing getting the stretch on it and all that.
Yeah.
It was only 60 minutes in. I think when he came off, I looked at the clock at the time, but he had put a bit of effort in. I thought he was decent yesterday. Very
John,
good.
what about you?
Yeah, same. Obviously, I've got no idea what sort of injury he's got, but I think it's probably understandable that it's. And I think at the stage of the game as well, like six. I know that the 60-minute mark is often it's like a cue for the manager to start making subs, but there
Aye.
seemed to be purpose behind them yesterday. It wasn't just all right, Levitt's gone down with cramp because I think there was three subs at the same time. Kwon came on, which I found quite interesting after the possible hamstring pull that he had last week that he wasn't able, he had restricted his mobility. That doesn't seem to have been a serious one. I forget the third sub, but just overall, like Levitt's contribution, and I never made this point properly previously, but we talked about Mariah Welsh coming in, being trusted against Rangers, like rather than it being my reaction of oh fuck Levitt's coming in, like I think we can start to take a wee bit of confidence as individual supporters and as a
Mm-hmm.
support that the guys that come in to replace the injured or the suspended or whatever, they still have a part to play in contributing to the results of the club.
I totally agree with that. I thought Levitt was neat and tidy. I still would like to see him take it like a upper level in terms of how much it impacts the game. Like I think if you compare the impact Triantis has on the game with Levitt. But then I maybe being a wee bit unkind. Maybe the fact that Levitt was prepared to take like a wee bit more of a back seat, let Triantis flourish. Do you know? So he's maybe taking
Unseen
one for
work.
the team there. Aye, unseen work.
Makes the ball nice, eh? Like he's
He
got that.
does.
It looks nice. You know what I mean? That's what I know. It's like I don't know how important that is, but it looks quite silky when he's knocking it.
But maybe that's the sort of balance that we need, where the guy who's neat and tidy doesn't always have to do the running about. The guy that's got the engine and the running in him, like you need to find that balance. And I wonder if we've been trying to fit square pegs in round holes before because of that problematic recruitment strategy that we had.
It's a very particular kink, John. Tam says, while a good option, does Newell's absence show he's not irreplaceable, as can be made out at times?
But yesterday, definitely, aye. I mean, I don't think we massively missed them yesterday, the way the midfield played. I do think we're, in general, at the moment, we have missed them in other games, even like St Johnstone away, for example. But not yesterday, aye. It just, the thing is, the problem with these guys we've got is that it doesn't get done every week. And by the way, I'm not saying Neil's a wee bit like that. We spoke about Neil. I just think Neil's more frequent than these guys. I think the other ones are all inconsistent as well, and that's the biggest part of your problem. So he's not irreplaceable. No, I still think we're a better team in a minute, but we didn't miss him yesterday.
Jack C99, and go and check out. Jack does some good Hibs vlogs, so go and check out his YouTube channel as well. Jack C said, "So proud of David Gray and the team. Amazing. The way Triantis stole the ball off Motherwell to score the second goal in the first half. Would you offer Triantis a permanent deal at Hibs?" John, is Triantis showing enough now that you would break? I think we had another comment further. I think it's Vince, perhaps. Says he'd offer Sunderland what they paid for Triantis and save the paperwork if we're going back. Has he done enough then? Would you be looking to get Triantis in as a permanent signing now, John?
Oh, you've put me on the spot. Yes. Other people will look at Triantis differently from how I do. Like there'll be people that are far better, far more knowledgeable coaches, far better, have more insight into football or whatever. I like the way that, but from my perspective, I like the way that Triantis plays football. I like the way that he moves about a football pitch, picks passes, scores his goals, and I also like the fact that while we've had that downturn in results, that he's come out the other side of it. Like he's not like I think the thing that might go against them is that there are going to be games against, say, like Motherwell or Aberdeen or whomever, but he might find himself facing the same sort of criticism as, say, like Joe Newell, for example. So you mentioned that they're about Levitt about like commanding a game more. So when he's not commanding a game, is that the thing that takes away from the sort of positive qualities about him amongst the eyes of some supporters?
Yeah.
I would sign him from the point of view that I would want him permanently from the point of view that he is now settled, or he appears to be settled in the Hibs midfield. And he's now played, I don't know how many games, let's call it about, how many appearances would you say? About 30-ish?
Why ask us that stuff, John? Come on.
Just to try and back up the idea that he's now, so like we've talked about like the derby before, where it's about like players who have experience of a fixture. So he's now got experience of being in a Hibs side. That's got to have some sort of value in addition to his qualities as a footballer.
I think in terms of appearances this season, I think it's only when he's been suspended or that he's not played. I don't think he's missed any games that he's been available, has he?
It's probably about 30, like over the two seasons. When he only came in January, he didn't play every week, and then he's played most games this season. So probably kind of be a kick national for that.
We had said calling an extra time. Everybody on loan could go back. We weren't really bothered about keeping them. Chance obviously falls into that bracket. You change your view on him. Would you now be sort of revising that opinion on the basis of new evidence being available?
I think so. At the moment, I would agree that we wouldn't send him back in January. Definitely not. At the end of the year, I think he's got another 6 months to decide if we're going to spend money on him. But at the moment, he's a valuable member of the team at the moment.
John McGlynn said, mind and press like for the guys. And that's a good point. If you're watching that on YouTube, then I've hit the wee like button for us, please, because that apparently does something to the YouTube algorithm that shows it to more folks. So please do that. It helps us out.
I'll log on myself and do it.
Nice one. Talking about, go back to the game, John, we did concede from one of the few chances that Motherwell had. They were putting a wee bit of pressure on, but the defence were coping with it fine. Iredale's a wee bit late with a challenge, boots the boy on the edge of the box.
Oh, he does.
It was a good kick, wasn't it? Like a proper clearance. He got booked for it. I think a booking was right. I think there was no question it being anything more than a booking. Eluded volley the boy. We've had a bit of discussion about the free kick since about whether or not Smith should have done better, whether or not Beater should have done better in the wall. Talk us through your thoughts on the free kick, John, and should it have resulted in a goal?
My first thought was that it was a good finish because it was not dissimilar to Triantis in as much as it hit the side netting, just inside the post side netting. But then watching it back, watching Smith, he doesn't really dive. He sort of like jumps up and then goes horizontal, but never makes any sort of distance. Doesn't close the distance towards the ball. There was like a wee moment's hesitation when the ball struck, and I don't know whether there's maybe been like he's thought it was going one way, or if it's something to do with a deflection or being unsighted or whatever it happens to be. But the end result is the ball ends up in the side net, and Smith looks a wee bit odd in his attempt at saving it.
Colin, what were your views on it?
So I was in the West Lower at that end, and at the time I thought that looked a bit easy, but it's hard to see through all the bodies. So I seen it back last night on Twitter, and it's hard to tell because it looks like a Beater jumped through the way at one point. Yeah, is it or it's went through the wall, or a Beater's turned his side onto it, and you go, but then I seen it on the telly, and I thought he's standing behind the wall, like. The wall's covering that side of the goal, and he's standing there, and he's left that wide open. The boy he's a midfielder, a centre midfielder. He's just going to be able to pass it into that corner and he ball. And he was miles off it. I thought his positioning was miles off.
Mm. When we set up the back of the West Stand up towards the famous five, so we were looking right down it, and that was the first time my son called it. Before he hit it, he's like, his positioning is awful. He's bang central, and he's like, you've got the wall covering one side. All Smith has to do is cover the other side of the goal for the ball, and it's a fairly comfortable save, I think, because there's not a lot of power in the ball.
And he actually, if you watch it back on the telly, you see him, he almost jumps up to like see where the ball is. And you didn't just move along a wee bit.
Aye. What's good though is Kenny mentions there's no panic now when we go behind. So I know we never went behind, but sometimes when you're 2-0 up and you go 2-1, that is when the panic starts to creep in. But John, rather than panic and we went on the front foot and we win a penalty, is Lewis Miller? I thought Lewis Miller was really clever with the penalty because he's getting marked with Stephen O'Donnell and he sort of makes sure O'Donnell grabs a hold of him. Like he's almost like he's feeling for him. You know, they talk about players being touch tight.
Like was he like reaching back the way, bringing O'Donnell closer so he could get hold
almost. I thought it was really clever for Miller to do it, and also making sure it's clear that there's a foul there by going down, right? Which it's the dark arts. Me and Josh Milman were talking about the dark arts and how acceptable they are in football. But clear penalty for you, John, or do you think we got away with one?
Nah, clear penalty. Like I'm being flippant about the reaching for contact and almost like putting O'Donnell's hand on his shirt. Like O'Donnell brings him down, and I think it's quite interesting that you have the experienced Scottish international there, and you've got the relatively inexperienced Australian international, like and as well like the number of games like playing in Scotland. I think O'Donnell should be better there, but we also know the threat that Lewis Miller poses at set pieces. Like he scored a few goals from there and from open play, so I think. Giving Miller the credit for winning the penalty, but also giving Miller the credit because of his physique and his athleticism. That's the sort of thing that are his actual strengths. Like there's some of the things about his sort of in-game play that could definitely be improved, but you can't fault his physique and his determination for these things, and that's what's won him the penalty.
But it was interesting that Stuart Kettlewell never questioned. He just went, "It's a penalty." Like his post-match interview, there was no ifs or buts or maybes. It's a penalty.
Stephen O'Donnell's.
See.
Aye.
Colin
Mental.
Paul,
He played for Scotland, though.
aye.
I was saying that to Grace yesterday. I went, he was warming up in front of us. And I went, he played for Scotland in the Euros, no, the last one, the one before. She was like, did he? Aye. He was putting crosses in. And she was like the main Scotland team. They were doing like a wee warm up. I was like, he might just Jack Grealish at the game at Wembley. No kid. She's like,
booted them up in air in the halfway line.
Aye. Martin Ball, Colin stepped up to take the penalty. Pretty much hammered it in the middle, same as they did against Rangers. Gave it a wee bit afters to whoever it was in the Motherwell team that'd been noising him up.
Someone must have been in his ear, I saw that as well.
Aye. It's no often you see quite that that response so vociferously, because it was like a proper or whatever he shouted, He picked the same spot as he did against Rangers, Colin. What do you think about that?
I'm fine with it, because I think in a penalty shootout, right, a goalie might stand still for one or two of the penalties. See, in a league game, a goalie's not standing still down the middle. They're always got to dive.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go down the middle like Nicky Cadden, earlier in the season, and go low, they've always got the foot dangling that might stop it. So go relatively high down the middle, hard, and I reckon 99 times out of 100, that's in.
Do you think... So I was going to ask the same question about where Boyle placed it, and whether or not, like, if he was on future penalties, say Hibs get another one next week, does the goalkeeper gamble and stand in the same place? Or sorry, stand central, and if he does he, like, from 12 yards, do they have the reactions to stop it? Like, like, I know penalties are in the favour of the penalty taker to begin with, but is it still in favour of the penalty taker if you continue to pick the same place and you hit it hard enough and fast enough?
It worked for Shearer. Shearer used to scalp all his penalties like that. Like he would just run up and leather them. I think you have almost as things. I watched the Man United Arsenal game earlier. Well, I watched the penalty show. I never watched the whole game, and I was thinking, Darren Brown, right, does these sort of mind trick things where he could get you to kind of pick whatever card he's wanting you to pick, or pick a number, whatever number he's wanting you to pick. I think there's a skill where you could go, I probably could guess which way, or make them go a certain way with the penalties. And could goalkeepers learn that skill? Like, is it worth getting in like a mind coach?
Join the magic circle.
Aye, to get your keeper, if I could guess it. But the point I was going to make was, if you're the goalkeeper trying to figure out what Martin Boyle does with his next one, you almost have that mind game where you go, well, he's gone straight down the middle with his last two. He probably tends to have watched his last two, and I'm going to stand still. So I'll dive. And Boyle will be like, just go fucking scalp it down the middle again.
Yeah.
But
just keep calling the bluff.
Aye, the longer he keeps scalping it down the middle, the more likely the goalkeeper is going to think that he's going to put it to one of the sides. It's like a fucking brilliant thing to, like, position to be in, where he's like, let's keep fucking tanning it in the middle, Martin. They'll keep going in. Anyway, 3-1, that was it. The game was sort of done by that point. We had a penalty shout, John, later on. Boyle again involved. Miller's played him down the right. He's cut in. He's went to roll the ball back to, I think it was Mariah Welsh. It might have been Hoyle. I can't quite remember who was in the middle. Mariah Welsh. But it's come off the defender's foot onto his hand. Big shouts for handball. I think that the fact it's come off his boot and onto the hand stops it being a penalty. John, would you agree with that?
Again, it was one of those ones where gut instinct originally was not a penalty, and then you think, oh, VAR might do us a favour. Like I kind of, how do I put this? I don't mind that ruling where it says if it comes off another body part first and then hits you in the hand, then we'll kind of look at it and take it on its merit. I didn't think it was a penalty, and I actually like what you were saying about Stuart Kettlewell as well, saying it was a penalty and just moving on. Like, you just conceded, like, we made an arse of it. That's absolutely fine, because that is quite refreshing compared to some of the other comments that we've had recently.
The Rangers manager.
See on that one though. So I agree, it probably wasn't a penalty. It sounded like it at the time. That end of the ground was going
we were screaming
for it. And I thought they've missed an obvious one. Barrow get us a sorry, but I think I can see why it wasn't. They see the bit of play that created it. That was really good, and that's kind of like we're talking about the penalty, but actually the bit they knocked it about with Miller to Boyle, and I can't remember who else, maybe Triantis. I can't remember who was all involved. That was a really good bit of football.
I think it's Mariah Welsh at the start of the move as well. I think it's like a wee 1-2 with Miller. Miller plays, knocks it up the wing.
Boyle cuts in.
Aye. And I suppose last bit of action in the game was the red card. Again, we've got that. We're defending. Miller knocks it out wide. Boyle latches onto it. He looks for all the world that he's going to play on Rocky, who's had that lung bursting run, and he just gets his leg taken from him. Colin, first for you, were you thinking it was a definite red, or
No, I thought it'd be a yellow. I just thought the boy had brought him down. And then I thought it was maybe a second yellow. Like I thought when I seen the red, I thought, they become a red? It's even booked. Because I thought it was just one of the ones. Like when the boys got away from you and you just take the legs. So I thought it was a yellow, and I've seen it on the telly, and it is a wee bit high, and his studs are maybe up, so I can see why it's probably a red. But I don't know how dangerous it was, maybe because of the pace they were moving it. So I can see why it could be a red, but if it was a yellow, I would have probably went no.
John?
I was I'm on board with Colin and what he was saying. It was where my initial thought was that it was one of those ones where the player's got away, so he's just going to take the legs because the player knows that it's a yellow card. I don't know quite. This isn't a criticism of the referee because I take into account what Colin's saying there that maybe it was a wee bit high, studs were shown, etc.
Boyle wasn't
I
happy with
think
it either, John. But
no,
Boyle thought it was a bad one.
Aye.
yeah.
And normally they just get up because they ken that's going to happen sometimes, but he didn't look happy about it, which suggests the boys maybe caught him. And it does look like it when you see it back. He's sort of studs maybe just above the ankle, so on the back of the calf, sort of shin area, which is relatively high. And if it'd been another few inches higher, everybody's shouting for the red.
Yeah. I think there's two things that I find really surprising about it. One was that it was a straight red. But two, because Martin Boyle's got up and pushed him, it hasn't been that obligatory yellow card for 2 years. Stop being naughty, now go back and go on with your day job kind of thing.
Aye. I thought at the time the boy, it was awfully harsh. I was like, it's a fucking booking. Like, you see those tackles all the time, it's a booking. And then I watched it back on Sports Scene, and I think the fact that he's studs into his calf, I think it's a red card. I think the referee got it spot on. And it's one of those ones, like, if he'd given the yellow, no many folk would have complained, but I think actually it's a good bit of refereeing for a shite referee, by the way. I thought he was not a good referee at all. Somebody described him on Hibsnet as a dickhead, and I was like, that's a good summary of that referee. He's not good at all.
Underused insult these days.
I know.
Folk are trying to be too clever. Dickhead is a good one.
What do you think of that Celtic one though getting sent off yesterday? Did you see that? It was about a header in, open goal, leader.
It should have been a red card. It's goal scoring opportunity, isn't it?
Just make rules up as they go, eh?
Aye, well, I noticed the referees podcast had said it was the idea that if the goalkeeper can save it, it makes it no goal scoring opportunity is nonsense, which is exactly the reason we were told John Souttar wasn't sent off when he handballed it on the line against us.
That's right.
But there you go, just like you say, make it up as they go along. What about when he wouldn't let Boyle back on? Was this because he was bleeding and they needed the linesman to check that there was no more blood?
I don't know. At the time, I couldn't see the blood. I thought it was. He thought, "What the fuck did you go doing for? I'm not letting you back on." I thought it was a bit petty. I say petty. I hate the head knock thing when folk go down and there's nothing wrong with them. So in a way, I'd almost like that to be the standard, but not just Hibs players only. You know what I mean? That if somebody was doing a head knock, leave them off the pitch for longer. But not just Martin Boyle when it happens to him.
Okay, right. Let's get some more talk. I think that's us done with the game. Like a good convincing win up into the top six. I think the other results almost went away. Could have done with Dundee United not getting the late goal against St Mirren. A draw there would have been good. But the fact that Motherwell had drawn with Kelly through the week and Celtic had beat Dundee United, and then the games today went in our favour as well. It was like a good weekend for us all in to kind of get that top six spot. BM said listening in from Australia. Love the show, gents. I hope there's no satellite delay. Mind, you used to get that back in old days. Before they did everything on broadband, you'd have a bit of satellite delay. So we would be saying it now, and you'd be in about 2 minutes' time.
Amazing though, he's listening to this tomorrow morning, and we haven't even recorded it yet.
That is quite.
It's weird.
Aye, that is impressive. Lewis said, evening lads, a Hibs treble winning weekend, under 18s, men's and women's teams all winning, you can't beat it. Glory to the Hibees. John says penalties are good or bad depending on what the keeper does. Jason says love it Easter Road just now. Gilkey says it was a blatant red card. Boy knew what he was doing. Can't wait on some X Factor players to arrive in this window. Going on to Blue Sky, and again, go follow us on Blue Sky. We're trying to sort of, like I mentioned it before, try to make the move off of Twitter. So we're on Blue Sky. We'll just look at long bangers and you'll find us. MagD36 said, "What are the thoughts on Miller, Rocky, and O'Hara? Are they O'Hara? Are they good enough for a top six squad? And also, it's great to be thinking about top six again." So Miller, Rocky, and O'Hara. I split it in one at a time. Miller, first of all, good enough for top six. John, straight yes or no?
Yes.
Has he ever been in a top six side? No. Not yet.
Well, he's been in a team that's been top six, but on the way down. And this is the first time he's been one on the way up.
Oh, you see when Johnson was here, though, when we got fifth. Was he? So he's probably, but I still don't think he's as good as Chris Cadden.
O'Hara?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one at all.
A jury's out, is it?
What
would you sit at, John? A yes or a no?
I'm just going to say yes to them all. I'm just going to say yes to them all because I think because of the way the question's been framed, I feel I've gone protector of the underdog again.
And Rocky.
Aye.
Come on.
I realise I'll get slaughtered for this, but I'm going to say yes right now.
No, I mean when he's good, he's good. If we just need to work on cutting the mistakes out.
He was terrific yesterday. He never put a foot wrong. Rocky, I think it was Andy Allen said Rocky Baresi was outstanding. He's renamed him good. Rocky Baresi. And if we had those performances out of him all the time, there wouldn't even be any question. I mean, he was just totally commanding.
Oh, do you wonder who we're going to sell him to? That would be what we would be talking about.
Could we keep a hood on him? Actually, I thought the whole defensive line played really well yesterday, as was evidenced by the fact that Smith barely had anything to do. Jeff Ashton said, "Sign Triantis now. First half was as comfortable a half as I can remember. Boyle has got his mojo back, and nice to see Levitt showing what he can do. What a difference confident makes to a team." And then I'll be clapping hands emoji for Sir David Gray. On Boyle, and actually it's relevant to Rocky as well. I'm interested to get your thoughts. I don't know if he's listened to David Gray's press conferences either before or post match yesterday. So he was asked in the pre-match press conferences, would you want to keep Rocky? And post match, would you want to keep Boyle? And both answers were like, I'm going to give you lots of words here, but I'm not actually going to answer your question. And I thought it was really telling. So he basically says they're in a position where they have to be playing well. And then what will be almost like you'll see what happens. Boyle went a wee bit further. He says you'd always want players who are playing like that, as in this.
I heard them on the radio actually in the car on the way back after the game, and on Boyle he said that's the challenge for the wee man. I think was the words he said, is to keep that going. So he wasn't committing to anything.
What would you take for that? The fact that he didn't commit, because you often hear a manager who, when they really want a player to stay, they go public on it because they're like, I've got, if I can let this guy Ken put it out there, we want him to sign, so that if he doesn't sign, we didn't get the flack for it almost. But Gray was actually really guarded with his answer on both of those ones. Like the type of man, I thought he answered it well because he gave nothing away. But can you, John, can you read anything into those answers?
I saw I don't think it was the post-match press conference. I saw it was like the 3.5-minute pitch side interview that he did with someone for Hibs TV. But did he actually say those words like, I'm going to give you a lot of words here? Or is that
no, that's just me.
Right.
I'm not even paraphrasing. What do you call it? Just summarising, like
paraphrasing.
Well, I wasn't even paraphrasing, like because he said nothing even remotely like that. That's just what he did.
It's how I don't know. I don't quite know how to answer this because Martin Boyle has. I don't even know what age Martin Boyle is now. Like he must be what 32, 31. He's had a couple of serious knee injuries behind him. There's been suggestions this season that he had lost a bit of his pace, which was his main asset. Then you have Bashiri, who has his critics, has always had his critics, has also had, I think, and you can see it within like the space of one game. You can see the great qualities that he has, and then you've got like the sort of deficiencies that he has in his game. with regards to where we are as a football club, I think we recognise that there's a play like where we are just now is kind of it's almost a position of strength. Like it's certainly in a stronger position than we've been, and we want to try and capitalise on that because that's what has hindered us for a number of years now, not capitalising on that third place finish and bringing in the right reinforcements. And I don't think that the football club wants to commit itself long term to players who are good enough right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because from Malky Mackay's comments previously, like you're looking, I think it was on the Sporting Director podcast. I don't think it was anything in particular to Hibs, but it would surely apply where you're not just looking at the next transfer window, you're looking at 2 or 3 transfer windows ahead, and you're only looking to bring in a couple of replacements rather than having to refresh the entire squad every single time round. So I think with regards to Boyle, there's maybe I think there's maybe say on current form, which is what David Gray referenced, I think, based on what you were saying, maybe 2 or 3 years left in him. But that's up to Martin Boyle. Like, is he able to perform at those standards? Bashiri is a slightly different uh, uh, player because he's not performing at the same levels as Martin Boyle. He hasn't delivered to the same sort of levels as Martin Boyle. And actually, he has cost us goals at the other side of the pitch. So that would, again, I think that would be up to Bashiri and whether he can perform at those consistently high levels, as Martin Boyle has been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer make sense?
I'm going to say
It
yes.
feels like a lot of words without saying anything.
Yeah, very apt.
Fucking right.
Green Tea said only disappointment was how badly Smith lined up the ball for Wells' free kick. It was a poor ball.
Can we talk about the Smith thing? Like, should he, like, I take your point and Josh's point about standing centrally. Should he have put the wall further to the left to give him more of a view of what the player was doing?
Aye, I think that's it. You sort of my understanding, and folk who are know what goalkeepers do will be able to correct us. But my understanding is, with a free kick, generally the principle would be your ball covers one side,
Mm.
and then the goalkeeper would cover the other side, and pretty much to score, they either have to go up and over the wall, or round the wall, however they want to take it, or beat the keeper on their side. And Smith did neither. He sort of covered one side, but then he left the other side open by standing in the middle of the goals. And that was what
I thought it was him more than the wall that was real badly positioned.
Aye.
Although the wall did jump out of the
way. John McGlynn says came for Hibs chat and got time paradoxes. And Haley Young said, right, thoughts on Alan Preston saying Boyle wants to go back to Australia despite not living or playing there domestically rather than actually praising him and Hibs. That was a mental thing that he said.
They got pulled up on that, to be fair.
Aye.
Like they did say, I think it was Mickey Stewart said he's guys for Aberdeen sort of thing. He said that he's there all the time, so I mean go back, like as in go back because he's there good 6 times a year.
That's it. Two things that they said on the Sports Sound that I took exception to. That was one of them. I was like, fucking go back. The other one, Mikey Stewart said Bill Foley was very critical of David Gray earlier in the season. Bullshit.
I don't remember that.
So he had the not listening comment, and then the club, indirectly or directly, depending on how you view these things, leaked that it was the Black Knights had put forward a different option for the sporting director and the manager. But that's not the same as saying David Gray's shite or I'm critical of him. He's never said anything about it. I thought it was like a really interesting way to position what had happened, completely fabricated, and went completely unchallenged as well. And it's mental how like a statement like that can just get put out and then it becomes accepted wisdom, because folk hear it and then they repeat it. And I found that frustrating. I was hoping that the Hibs fan that was on, who I thought was good, but
I thought he was as well.
I missed his surname.
Dobie or something.
I thought he was good, but I was kind of hoping that he would have pulled him for it, but he didn't. But I suppose we've been in that position before, calling on there. You have an idea of what you want to say, and you didn't get asked it, and before you know it, that's it. Your time's up on it. So, right, we're almost out of time. So a couple of transfer, I don't know, rumours that have come up. So reported tonight was the Pleguezello transfer, which is centre half, a decent pedigree, Gilkison with Barcelona and Arsenal academies. Are you surprised to be hearing a centre half coming in? If that's indeed what we're looking at, Colin?
No. I think every area of the pitch could be improved. Right, so I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
That might just be the first one that's came up. I think we can do better than some of them. Depends how long it potatoes out as well. Well, I've said that before. If he's out for a bit longer, then I think we do need more covering there. Happy with Iredale, no sure about O'Hara. We've had Miller playing in there. We've had Obita playing in there. So it suggests we need more bodies in there, and if we can get better than what we've got, that's what we've got to be signing. We've got to be signing players that are better than what we've got. Because too often we've just had squad fillers.
The other name that I saw mentioned on the forums was Sam Silvera, who I think is a winger at Portsmouth. I want to say Portsmouth now. Again, not got time to look it up now because we're almost out of time here. A winger coming in probably suggests that we've got one going out, and I can't remember who asked it. It was about Hiberni-WIN. Have we seen the last Ellie in the Hibs? Or it was Tam said, will we see Yuan again, or is he just more injury prone during the transfer windows? Is it the case then? So if Sam Silvera is coming in, is that a clear indication that we're likely to be losing Hiberni-WIN, John?
I think Silvera would have to be, or any player would have to be signed to that position before we said it was a clear indication that Yuan was on his way out. I think Gray's comments recently about the not pre-game conference, but the game. Sorry, what am I trying to say? The press conference the day before the game, the pre-match press conference. That's what I'm trying to say. He described Ely's injury as being a foot injury that was taking a wee bit of time to die down, or a bit longer to die down. That could just be absolute bullshit, that they're trying to keep him fresh, that there's contract negotiations ongoing or whatever, but I'm not getting the sense at the moment that he's on his way out.
It's a couple of weeks now as well, John, isn't it? It's like at first when somebody made that rumour up, I think you would have expected to see it happen. Whereas it's 2 weeks, we wouldn't go without a player over all these games when he might leave. You know what I mean? It's like I can't believe that that's the case. I'm not saying he's not going to leave. I'm just saying I think he must be injured. Otherwise, we would definitely have him in the squad. When we're threadbare is like this.
Aye. One of the questions I wanted to put to you, right? So there was a bit of chat earlier in the week that potentially we'd be getting a right back coming in. Obviously, we're playing a 3-5-2 now where we don't have like a left back and a right back. And it got me thinking about this principle with the multi-club model and the desire for Black Knights to have all the teams playing broadly the same system so that it makes it easy to put players from one club to the other and progress them up the food chain, if you like. The recruitment this window and the next window, so we're almost playing 3-5-2 by default because that's what fits the players that we've got. Would you expect us to be recruiting for a system that we're not playing at the moment and bringing in good enough players that system will work rather than to fit the 3-5-2 that's working for us just now?
Is it, sorry, did you say that that's a thing the Black Knights are saying you'll be playing these formations?
So they wanted, there was a, so the Black Knights Bill Foley's talked about it before, and there was a thing with the Auckland sporting director who referenced it as well. Says like the idea is that we all play the same way, like we use the same tools, etc. Same coaching methods and transfer analysis, all that kind of stuff, so that it all works seamlessly. That's sort of the principle behind it. And Foley's said before that if one club doesn't act in line with the group, then they're not really a group.
And what is that formation? Do you know?
I think it's like the 4-3-3 that is popular.
That we started with.
Aye, but I think obviously they've looked at it and thought we've not got the players to play it. So I suppose you either go Hibs are the outlier and we'll recruit just for Hibs, or you go, how do you get the players in that will work so that everybody benefits from it? What would you expect to happen?
It's hard to say because obviously we've got the guy in as the recruitment guy now, but we've not seen any movement between the squads or anything for the Black Knights. So then you go, well, are we just on our own still? Do they not trust it? What's going on? Because they've been doing their own thing. They've recruited their own manager, their own director of football. They're doing the formation that they want. So I don't know, but I would definitely agree that a club should be recruiting to a strategy, if you want to call it that. This is how we've got to play. This is the style of play, and recruit players for that. So if it's like you're not going to have much of the ball, you recruit midfielders that will run about a lot and do a lot of the hard work. You recruit in the mouldy Josh fucking Campbell sort of thing. Like he can maybe chip in with a couple of goals, but he's got to work really hard and he's got to be positionally disciplined and all that. So we need to decide as a club if we've got what our strategy is, but that might be dictated to us by the Black Knights, and it would make sense for that to happen. Otherwise, why are we part of the group? But who's to say? I suppose it's just a fucking formation, really. But is that formation effective in the Scottish football against the teams we play against? Would you just make us do it just because, or do you want us to be successful? Because we've shown we're more successful in this formation. But is that just because that's the card we've been dealt, or that's the card we've landed on because successive managers have left us with this squad of players?
I think that's the argument about it, isn't it? Is that it's no work for us just now, and it's not necessarily the system, but it's having the right players for the right system. Just now, John, it looks like the 3-5-2 that we've got is like custom made for the players that we've got in the squad just now. But if you wanted to take the squad now and play a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 or whatever it is that Bournemouth and Auckland play, it's not going to work, and we will fail and we'll slide down the league, and it becomes sort of counterproductive. But would you risk it if it was your club and you were in charge of it? Would you risk breaking a winning formula to sort of potentially improve it? The idea is you break it better, isn't it?
Are you asking me as if I'm Ian Gordon, owner of the Gordon family, owner of the club?
Aye, go for that. As if you're either Ian Gordon or even, I suppose, you put yourself in David Gray's shoes, because it's him that's going to have to negotiate it, isn't it?
Aye, it's it's still a really strange situation because Colin mentioned there the Black Knights dictating to Hibs. Well, I've still didn't quite understand how the Black Knights could dictate to Hibs because they're the minority partner. And in addition to that, what you were saying about the 3-5-2, the 4-3-3, the playing the same way across the group so that players can sort of jump in and out as required, or within the confines of the transfer windows, etc. But we've already, as a football club, said no thank you to the Black Knights. We don't want your manager. We don't want your sporting director. We've got our own lined up. So we're already a little bit of an outlier. And
but you know what happened in the back of that, though? They said, that's fine, you do that, we're not getting you any more money. And Hibs went, we'll not do that anymore.
And that's aye, but I still find it strange because, as you say, it might take some time for us to get to a position where through work in the transfer windows that we do get to a position where we can play 4-3-3. But at the moment, if you start playing a 4-3-3 with the players that we have currently, then you slide down the table. That directs criticism towards the board again, and then you just go through that whole cycle again. And that would become completely counterproductive. So leave it alone just now. Give that a little bit of time, see that through to whatever the fruition happens to be, and then start, I think, tinkering a little bit when you have the time and the resources available to have properly plotted that change out, rather than just making the change for the sake of it.
I like that point. Right, last couple of points because we're almost out of time. Just going to get a couple for Twitter that we hadn't really referenced at all. So, one SPFL said, "Is there too much football this January?" Yes or no? Too much football?
It's been over December and January. Yeah, we're ramming the fixtures. We do it every year, but normally we have a break now, and we've not had that.
And Kaiser Soze said, "Can you confirm if Colin will be dressing as Captain Birdseye on the next pod? Heard a rumour and Nautical was in, allegedly."
Is this because of the grey?
There is a picture of Mikey Stewart with his polo.
Oh, you seen that?
A lot of Avid Marion comments there on the back of it. Carl said, "Enjoyed the win and the performance, didn't enjoy the barriers up at the end of the game. Why don't they keep the away fans in the ground if they're concerned about trouble?"
Anyway, that was fucking joke. That I asked on the way in, is these gates got to be shut? Nah, we'll see what I see how the game goes. Fucking barriers up. No warning or nothing, eh?
Aye, brutal. Part Fry's image says 20 points picked up since the 3-3 draw with Aberdeen. Today we scored when we were on top and looked good for long spells. Dropped off in the middle of the second half, but we won. Attitude and application is there. We just need to make sure that we don't take things for granted. All right, we'll wrap up there. The last thing about Aberdeen, there was a tweet, and I can't remember the details of it, so my number might be slightly out, but there was a boy, presuming a boy, had tweeted to say that when Aberdeen went 3-2 up at Easter Road, that had we not equalised, that would have taken them, I think, 28 or 29 points clear of us that night. And we're now sitting, I think, 5 or 6 points off them, which is remarkable. It shows you like the total change in fortunes for both the clubs, and long may it continue. Right, quickly, Clydebank is Clydebank, isn't it, on Saturday? I mentioned the competition. Go and find out about that. If you've not already seen it, you'll get it on our Twitter. Keeping a winning team. We've got Bowie and Kukorevic, I think, due to come back. Colin, you keeping us starting strong and hoping we win the game early with it, or what would you do?
I'm more or less. I would see how fit these guys are. I'd maybe give them a lot of cover on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's many more. I think there's loads of options. Like I really don't. So I think it'll be pretty much maybe 8 of that team, maybe 9 that started yesterday.
John, what about you? Would you be giving the fringe players a chance to show what they can do, or is this a case of just get the fucking job done and move on, keep the momentum going?
When's the next game? Is it the following Saturday?
I think so.
I think we're in a period of weekly games at the moment.
Yeah.
Ross County away on the 25th, a week later. I think I'd want to start the game with our strongest 11 and try and win it or get ahead, and then start introducing players to give the first teamers a rest rather than do the reverse. Because I've seen it far too many times before where we have to go
Tottenham
chasing.
the day.
What happened with Tottenham? Did they lose in the end, or did they go through?
No, it was 0-0 at full time, and I think they brought some of the big guns on and went on to win 3-0 in extra time.
Because I think to not be ahead at the start of the game and then have to bring on your first teamers defeats the purpose of giving them a rest.
Fair enough.
I mean, I think we're only talking about maybe like 45 minutes here. It just seems just slightly back to front. So now go out, try and get ahead early doors, and then start maybe taking the foot off the gas a wee bit.
Okay, right, that's us out of time. We'll be back with our with extra time tomorrow for subscribers, and then we'll have the phone in on Thursday. It will go ahead on Thursday, and then our preview show on Friday. Thanks to everybody who tuned in to Friday's preview show as well. By the way, it was a popular one, so I'm glad folk found it. I'm going to leave you with this status for Callum. He said in his last 4 games against Hibs, Andy Halliday has been subbed off at halftime in 3 of them. Hibs winning 3-0, 3-0, and 3-1.
Amazing.
There you go. 41 the cup and he fucked it up. Andy Halliday.